The following is a conversation with Danny Grant. Danny currently plays for Bohs in the Premier Division in the League of Ireland. As we all know, had previous spells with Huddersfield, where he featured in the Huddersfield B team, as well as going out on loan during that spell as well to Harrogate Town. In terms of a youth career, Danny has a very interesting upbringing in terms of football, having played in Leinster Senior League from a very young age before going back to Underage National League at 17s and 19s with Bohs, before, of course, making his breakthrough with the Bohs first team. We talk about his time in Huddersfield, that transition, how difficult it is away from families, dealing with injuries. He sustained 2 very bad hamstring injuries, and he speaks about how difficult it was to recover from them. And then, of course, we wrap up with where his current state of mind is with Bohs, the current state of the Premier Division, and how he thinks the League of Ireland is going to progress over the next couple of years. We hope you enjoy the podcast.
The Trailer 1-to-1 podcast is proudly sponsored by Financial Planning Matters. We recently recorded a latest episode with the founder of Financial Planning Matters, Niall O'Connor. In the episode, we talk about a couple of the basics of what the services they provide do, ways to get in contact, and just various stories about managing your financial future. Here is the thumbnail, and you can find the link for that video in the show notes below.
Go in the intersection there.
Going, yeah? Let's go. Danny, what's crack?
Not much. Glad to be here. Let's rock.
Let's rock is right. Right. Let's just jump straight in. Not messing about. Generally what we do is we'll go like, oh, give us an idea of your background and whatnot. But a curious question. What do you currently enjoy most about football?
The dressing room. Just being around. It's just kind of like a community, isn't it? The football community. It's just, the dressing room at Bohs is sick as well. Like, it's full. It's mad, isn't it? Because it's full of, you have like the Dublin kind of core and then just random people everywhere. It's mad, like Polish lads, Estonians, 2 Americans, like, it's class. So yeah, just that dressing room community of feeling like you're a part of something kind of bigger. But yeah, that the crack with the lads and all that is.
Is there a massive culture difference between, obviously you've got people from different backgrounds and whatnot, but is it very like evident between everyone that the personalities are just so different?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, it is. But I think that's classic. It's deadly. Just, you wouldn't really get. I know you obviously workplaces, you have people from all over the place, but in football, like, you're signing people from different countries and stuff, and there's so many different characters like around the place. You've people like Dylan Connolly, who's in our dressing room mad, and then you've people like the Estonians who are just learning how to speak English, so they're obviously not speaking like as loud. So it's, you know, it's class. I love it. Like, it's just mad. There's so many different people from different backgrounds, but you can't notice it. Like, definitely notice it. Yeah.
We were talking about, was it Weldy, the idea, and G was so anti-dressing room. Our style is not that, like the banter and all that type of stuff. It's just, I think personality-wise, it doesn't suit me anyway. G went off on a rant. You should probably listen to it. He just hates that whole lad banter and all. Which is hilarious. So he went off in a wall, but it suits you perfectly.
Yeah, that's what it is. You sink or swim. Like, it's for some people, and some people just, it's just not for them. Yeah.
I think with G though, he's a little bit too easy to wind up.
That's
so he'd
true,
be targeted
his head
more.
Would be gone.
And then
your head would be gone.
It's like football, a negative loop. Then his head would just constantly going, and you'd be getting more, and then you're stuck in a cycle.
Yeah. It is sink or swim.
On the flip side, what do you not like about football?
It's stressful, isn't it? Like, it's a stressful industry, I suppose, to be in. It's cutthroat and things like that. It affects your life so much. Like, at the minute, I'm not in the team, so it affects my life so much. Like, you're going home and you're thinking, why am I not? What can I do? Why am I not playing? Things like that. So that's the hard side of it. But that's just part of it. That's, you know, you have to go through phases like that. But I suppose, yeah, the stressful side of things, and it can be stressful. I know people sometimes probably look at footballers and think it's all sunshine and rainbows, but sometimes it's not. You, at the end of the day, you're there to play football, and if you're not playing, sometimes it's a tough place to be. So that would probably be the hardest thing, I suppose, about it sometimes.
Being out of the team, yeah. What are you like in sessions when you're out of the team?
No, just trying to put myself about the place. Like, it's difficult, isn't it? Especially when you're out of the team and in a kind of moment like this, when it's Friday, Monday, and you're not really training all the time. It's difficult because, especially, you know, when you're winning, the manager's not going to change a winning team, that's understandable. Like, so it's difficult and it's hard to impress, I suppose, if you're playing, recovering, and obviously the lads who aren't playing have a chance to kind of get a little bit of work in, but it's not the same as a full group session, I suppose. So it's difficult, but you just got to put yourself about and obviously come in 100% every day and try to make an impression when you can.
Yeah, you don't even consider it actually Friday, Monday.
Literally heard
it's
that
difficult. You
with,
train so much less. Like,
yeah, Greg Slogan mentioned it on the League of Ireland Central podcast. 'Cause he obviously was trialing with clubs and all, and he was saying he was trialing during like double game weeks, and so he wouldn't be the team wouldn't be doing the same session that he would be doing, and he'd be in with kind of the other lads who wouldn't be playing, or the younger lads.
Boys,
Positionally, it's interesting because they were actually asking him, how do you impress because his style of player is kind of like a reliable midfielder.
Exactly, it's hard for players like that as well. Like if you're, say, like me, a winger, you impress by cutting in and sticking in the top corner or whatever. It's things like that. But as a midfielder or a centre half or something, might be a little bit more, especially if you're, like, for example, being out of the team at the minute, the lads, we kind of get our work in through small-sided games and stuff like that. So that's another thing.
Yeah,
like,
naturally
as a
highlights
centre half,
attacking player.
How you're impressing in a small-sided game is difficult. So it can be hard at times when there's a Friday, Monday. But obviously then when it gets back to being Friday, you got proper sessions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to put yourself about and show what you're about, I suppose.
It's fair. You're waiting for a sniff in one of the games. Yeah. Waiting for something to come alive.
Yeah.
Right, bring us back to roughly where you started. You had a mad old youth career, and then like your upbringing in terms of football is unique.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. Yeah. It's different. Talk to us a little bit about it. How it all came about.
So I started obviously young, 4 or 5, whatever. I was playing for a team called Hillcrest. Then I played locally, Lucan United, Esker, things like that. Then I played most of my schoolboy football at Cherry Orchard. So enjoyed that. That was brilliant. And then I just I was small. I didn't kind of grow. You'd obviously know from playing against me at home farm, but wasn't a massive when I was younger. I wasn't a big lad. So kind of, I wouldn't say fell off, but I just struggled with the physicality and things like that. So I just went to Crumlin then to kind of just enjoy my football a little bit, and kind of played with mates or whatever and done well. And then the manager at Crumlin, Terry Gleeson, he was moving to Bangor, which was Leinster Senior League. So that was when I was around maybe 16, playing for I think Crumlin 17s, and he basically took all the Crumlin 17s and said, listen, I'm going to go and manage Bangor. He wants blah blah blah. I want you to come with me, all that kind of stuff. And went to play for Bangor, maybe 17 I think it was, and then played for the 19s for a little while. Got into the first team. Played Leinster Senior League football at 16 or 17. Then I think the Bohs manager at the time went to watch me playing for Bangor, and asked me to go for. But I was getting a bit of interest, to be fair, from League of Ireland under 17s team. So there was a couple of options. I went and trained with Cabinteely, Bohs, Bray, couple of others I think, and then I remember just thinking, like, I think Bohs is the best option for me. It was a really good team. Obviously we ended up winning a lot there. So signed for Bohs, played for Bohs 17s for about 6 months maybe, and then up to 19s and nearly 2 years at 19s, and we won. I think we won the double 1 year and the league the next year. So that was a really good team. Eventually got into the Bohs first team, and it just kind of went from there. And then obviously I think my first year was kind of just integrating obviously into first team football, things like that. And then I got to move obviously to Huddersfield. Had a good year in the League of Ireland, got Young Player of the Year and stuff like that, and I got to move across to Huddersfield, and obviously didn't work out, and now we're back at Bohs.
The move from the Orchard to Crumlin, was that like the same level as in both Premier, or did you drop a level? Or
no, I would have dropped, So Cherry Orchard, the Cherry Orchard team was a really good team. We would have been kind of up there, us, home farm,
quality,
Kevin's, it was a good team. And then Crumlin, would have been a lower league.
Okay, right. So did you make that decision purely out of just
purely
kind of playing mates and
enjoy
getting
football?
playing?
Yeah, 100%. Just purely wanted to enjoy football and kind of not take a step back, but just start enjoying it more instead of it being so, because it was so competitive. Our league, home farm, good. Cherry Orchard, Belvedere.
Kevin's side,
the Kevin side was outrageous that year. So, like,
what age were you then when you made that move?
Would it have been maybe 15, 16 going from Cherry Orchard to. Okay,
right.
I think. Actually, no, my memory's horrific, but in and around that age group.
It's an interesting move because players, we've had this with parents coming to us going, I don't want to move them from this club because it's this club. Let's say it's the kind of name that they sometimes want to stay with. Where sometimes the healthy thing can be to move them to a different club, maybe potentially move down a level, either to play more, or you kind of forget the enjoyment side just too. If you're still playing at a decent level, some people, their personality suits to actually go and play with their mates. I know Killian obviously said that on it when he was playing sometimes that just suits better. And I find sometimes this is more the kind of parents, I suppose, they kind of can get a little bit too hung up on the
name
have to
of
play
a
for this club
yeah.
because it's this club, you know, that kind of way. So it's interesting at that age because it's kind of a tough age to do it. You're kind of mid to late teens. Everyone's how would you say, quite impacted socially by social circles and everyone's opinion. Like you can imagine nowadays with TikTok and all, what a young player, if they made that move, everyone would be on them,
dropping
you know,
level,
that kind of stuff. So it's interesting just that move at that age.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't know how it's going to go. Like thankfully for me, I took a step back to then go forward, but there's obviously that fear of if you take the step back, are you just going to keep going? You might end up out of the game. So it is a difficult decision, especially at that age, as you say. But yeah, thankfully it worked out for me. I think I obviously got the love back for it and started enjoying it again. And
it was Premier to Major, was it?
I think something like that. Yeah, we're Crumlin even. Was it maybe like a change of league?
You go?
What age do the leagues change at that? You know,
it goes. I think when we were playing, it was.
Was the Super around then? Remember
Yeah,
Super was the thing. I remember.
I don't think that was for 17s for us. I think that was before us.
Yeah, I think it was more my age.
Did you go Crumlin DSL or the like Leinster Senior League underage teams?
I think it might have been Leinster Senior League.
Yeah, it might have been.
Maybe,
I think it was 18s.
Yeah, I think it was.
You might have gone 17s before that. I don't know, but I think you did play 18s. I remember seeing you play. I think at 18s.
I remember his
Cherry
Crumlin
Orchard
team
was
ruining the team you played for.
Yeah, I was injured. I was dust.
Yeah, I remember we watched it in Pierce
Yeah,
Park.
you killed us. And you killed us.
Yeah.
In Pierce.
Crumlin, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a
Was
good
that-
game.
Was that your team?
So surely you know what league it was, no?
I think at that stage,
Yeah.
I think it was
8?
the 18s and senior.
Right, okay.
I think, but that was a good game though,
Right, okay.
as far as I'm aware. But just hockeyed us, yeah. Remember that? You had a very good side as well, even with that current side.
Yeah, we did, to be fair.
I think you were playing right wing.
Yeah, couple of headbangers, but
Yeah, I would say so. Good, yeah, but good side though. It's like Crumlin in general, always difficult to play against that most age groups. Even that Leinster Senior League side, and obviously the senior team have been good for years. Yeah, like that jump. Did you find it like mentally tough to drop a level, or were you fully satisfied with the
I
decision?
think I was fully, because I was so finished with kind of not looked down upon, but not being included because of my size and stuff like that. And I just thought, you know what, I just want to go and play and just. So I think there was never really a part. The decision was easy for me, I suppose. It wasn't really like, oh, do I want to? It was just, I want to go and enjoy my football and whatever happens kind of thing, I suppose.
For how long were you like? Did you feel you were outside the starting team for the Orchard?
Say maybe a year, over a year even. Because lads were obviously grown. There was big lads like Aaron O'Driscoll and stuff who were just growing, and I just didn't grow at the time. I kind of took my growth spurt probably 18. Now, I see pictures of myself even now coming in from when I made my debut at Bohs, and I'm like still so thin and stuff. So I obviously filled out kind of late-ish. So
it's mad that jump, and then with that jump to Bangor, how important was that jump for you to go play senior football?
Yeah, massive, 100%. At the time, you don't really realise it, but now when I think about it, like, just even being, as I talk about the dressing room, that kind of, obviously it's different then, like, but being in and around proper senior players and, you know, players who you don't really find big time Charlies in the Leinster Senior League, you know what I mean? They're proper people fighting for their lives or whatever. So, you know, it was brilliant. I loved it. Obviously, I owe a lot to Bangor. I loved it there, and still, you know, went to watch a couple of their games recently enough. So, you know, I'm grateful for that time that I had there.
What level were they? They're probably one of the top kind of.
They were the top.
Were they top LSL at the time? Yeah.
So.
How long were you there then? Was it?
I think.
Would have been a full season, or would have been kind of?
Yeah, I think it was a full season. Yeah.
Okay, right.
I think so.
How did you find that, like, dressing room environment when you were that kind of age?
It's obviously difficult. It's not the same as how I'd find the dressing room now, but it still helps you. Obviously, you look back on it, and you know, little things you can take even from Leinster Senior League players who've just like getting stuck in and things like that. Little simple things, I suppose, but you know, they help you going forward. So yeah, no, I loved it there. It was brilliant.
What was it like playing as a wide player in the Leinster Senior League? Young. Like, the
bruises.
I was gonna say, probably kicked out.
You get kicked lumps out of, like that's the way it was. And I remember one game we played against Crumlin. Crumlin were kind of one of the better teams in the league, and I got kicked lumps. And then I'd done like a roulette kind of skill in the corner, put a ball in, and we scored. And I was walking back to the halfway line for a tip off, and the Crumlin centre half was like to me, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You shouldn't be here. Like, you're way too good to be here." And that's what I kind of remember. That was kind of a moment where a penny dropped for me when I thought maybe I can go and still you know, make a living as a footballer.
That was like my next question. At any stage from the orchard, even when you were younger, you go to Bangor. Did you ever think I can still make a career out of the game, or did you want to? That would have been a moment.
I think, to be fair, when you say did you want to, I think I actually kind of went away from wanting to for a while when I took that step back from Cherry Orchard to go to Crumlin and just enjoy it. I remember that kind of being like, maybe I won't have a career. Maybe I'll just play football for enjoyment. I think that's what I was thinking when I made that decision. But then obviously you start enjoying it again. You get your confidence back. You start playing well, and that was kind of a moment. Then I remember when the Crumlin centre half, I can't remember who it was, but said to me like, "What are you doing here?" I remember thinking that was kind of a penny drop, I suppose, when I thought maybe I can go and play at a League 4 club. Like,
it's mad how that works, isn't it? Yeah. And then you obviously made the jump from Bangor seniors to Bohs 17s.
Bohs 17s, yeah. I think I only played a couple of months in 17s, and then 19s was kind of where I had my.
Would you have been 17 playing 17s or 16? Like, how young were you when you
were?
I
was 16 playing in the Leinster Senior League for Bangor, so I probably would have been. I think I only got a couple of months. Yeah, I think I only got a couple of months because I was at that age or whatever.
Right.
I think it might have even been less than 6 months that I had. I came in halfway through that.
Yeah, the 17s. Yeah, that league. So when does the season
league
finish in Lancine League?
Oh, May. It's like the
May
schoolboy football there. Okay. Like April, May. So yeah, if you finished the LSL season in May, you'd probably join in June, like that. Midway through, you joined the 17s. Probably played 6 months, and then would have been 19s probably. Yeah,
and then we had 2 good years at 19s. To be fair, our 19s team was very good. Like a Promise and Grado, people like Paddy, obviously, couple of more, but yeah, decent players. John Ross, Warren O'Hara. So it was a strong 19s team. Like, I forgot Warren was there. Ali Regba, like good players at that age.
Strong squad. Yeah. Very strong. Did you find it? Certainly at 17s, I'd like to think, going from a senior dressing room first of all, senior environment and senior games, to then go play 17s. Did you feel miles ahead, or what was that transition like?
No, I didn't know. I actually probably found it harder.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's Leinster Senior League, obviously it's not as pretty on the eye or whatever, and things like that, and then you're coming into a more technical environment. But I remember looking around even Bohs, my first couple of months at Bohs, thinking, geez, some good players here, like technically, likes of Brandon Cavanagh and stuff were there.
Yeah.
And you're looking, going, like proper technical players, and I probably wasn't I was a bit raw, I suppose, from playing in the Leinster Senior League, so I actually probably found that side of it a bit difficult. And Paddy actually, it's mad, he only said to me today, put his arm around me after training, and he was like, me old mate, and I said, I know from back in the day or whatever, and he was like, you were so raw back in the day. I was like, oh cheers.
So raw, that means like
you were sure wide players are like that though, aren't they? In Lancine, it's like kicking at you. Like it's get somewhere near someone who's tricky, quick, and just kind of go on, make something out of that. Whole different game. In training, did you like consciously think, Jesus Christ, like technically I have a good bit to go?
Yeah, really? No, definitely. First couple of months, but I kind of, not technically gifted, but I obviously had a bit in me, so it was just kind of getting that rawness out of me, and then getting up to scratch. And then I think after 6 months, I kind of would have been thinking like, I'm ready to play here, like I'm ready to play 19s or whatever.
Going from like a results-driven business at senior game in Bangor, and then I presume you were probably heavily coached then when you get into 17s. Did you find that difficult then to go from almost like, why don't you go out and play? And obviously they'll give you some sort of guidance, but it's very much you're old enough, or maybe you were younger, but it's go win the game. While at 17 it's probably much more tactical. Definitely at that age group as well. It's kind of getting to the stage where you look at some of the way the 14s and 15s are playing at National League now. Tactically, just very good. They have a very good understanding of the game. Was probably just transitioning to that at 17s. Did that take a while for you to take in information?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah, getting used to kind of being coached by top level coaches. My first coach at Bohs was Craig Sexton, so he's a really good coach. So that team was proper tactically set up and things like that. But yeah, no, is it a bit of a shift? But to be fair, at Bohs, it wasn't just go out and play and it doesn't matter if you win, because there was expectation. We had a good squad, so there was still that kind of expectation, like we want to win this league, and anything short of that is kind of a failure. So there wasn't too much of a shift. Obviously nowadays there probably would be a massive shift in terms of results aren't as important at at that age. But yeah, no, when I was going into that Bohs setup, the results were still kind of, it was results driven still in that team.
Do you crave information? Do you like it as an attacking player?
Yeah, I like being coached. Yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my strengths, that I'm very coachable. I like listening to people. I like when a coach comes and says, "This is what I want from you. This is how you get better." And this is, I love that. Like that's exactly what you want as a winger. I think is for a coach or a manager to pull you aside, to show you clips, and you want to get better at the end of the day. Otherwise, you're just staying in the same place for the rest of your career. So that's, yeah, no, I enjoy that. Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
How did your progression then into the first team come about?
I trained with the first team a couple of times, and we were in Blanche at the time. I remember the first couple of times thinking, "Jesus, I'm miles off here." Like Warren O'Hara was 6'4" and kind of bullying lads. Rob Cornwall was there, and I'm still 5'5" or whatever. So thinking I'm miles off here. But then you obviously get used to it, and then I made my debut in the cup against Cabinteely. Ended up scoring from 35, 40 yards out. Keeper kicked the ball and scuffed it, and it came to me, and I hit it first time. So that kind of settled me in, scored my debut in the cup, and then made my league debut against Dundalk. So it all came about kind of fairly quickly. But
And was that the year you played one Young Player of the Year, or would that have been?
No, so that would have been before. Yeah, that was kind of just, I was kind of getting integrated into it, and after that, then I was still kind of in and out of the team. To be fair, I played the semi-final of the FAI Cup, I think, that year against Cork. We lost that, but I did still play a couple of games that year. But
was that the game Ting scored from about 40 yards?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, best goal I've ever seen.
Ridiculous.
What a goal.
Like
Was
ridiculous.
that his last game? Did he retire that year?
Was it? I can't remember.
I feel like he
It
retired
was
after that.
a ridiculous
Wasn't it?
goal.
Why are you even shooting from
Yeah,
there?
it's
He
ridiculous.
it was just out of anger, innit? He just thought,
Yeah.
I'm going to smack
I think,
this.
yeah, you was losing 2-0
2-0
at the time.
at the
2-0 at that
time,
stage,
Do you know what the worst thing about that goal is?
It doesn't.
No one reacts because
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like it looks like it comes back out.
Oh,
so the keeper
yeah.
kind of gets up and tries to play on, and
Imagine how
he doesn't even
satisfying
know.
that goal is if it bounces and hits the back of the net.
Just
like,
bang,
Yeah.
and everyone just runs off. It'd be outrageous, but everyone's kind of like looking around
Yeah,
for a
'cause it
second.
looks-
Lino's looking around, sleeping. Like it just ruins the moment of it. But it's an unbelievable
That's
finish.
ridiculous, yeah. So then after that season ended, were you in with the first team then for the next year, or was it similar enough kind of in and out? So for the
I
season
think I
after
would have been too old for 19s, would I? I think so. I think I would have been in with the first team.
Okay, that
kind
would
of
have been
full time.
okay.
Yeah, with Keith and Trevor, and yeah, and then was that? Did I play another? I can't remember how many years I played in Bohs first team before I went away. How long did I play? My memory's shocked. I think, did I play 2.5 years? Or 1.5 years? No, I think it was 1.5. So I think that season would have been.
So it was just that full year,
That full year. That yeah.
and then
I know my good year was during COVID. So that was try and work back from that. I think I played more than a year and a half in the Bohs first team before I went away. I think it could have been 2 years.
Okay. Well, even that year, the last year you played, would say the COVID year, the one you would have won the Young Player of the Year. Talk to us about that season.
Yeah, no, I obviously had a really good year. It was difficult, like no fans and stuff. It's so weird when you think back to it. It's just like a pre-season game and friendlies, and probably helped me at that age. Only kind of.
I was going to ask you, did you find it tough, or did it help you?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say it probably helped me. Just at that age, obviously as a young player, I wouldn't have been massively used to playing in front of huge crowds or whatever. So I would say that, it probably did help me. There was still obviously expectation from the players around me and managers and stuff like that, but not having fans on your back as a young player probably did help me to excel and have a good season. Yeah.
Probably helps actually the position as well. Like you think of like attacking wide players, it's all about like getting at people, trying things and all. Whereas you can imagine if there's a groan of a crowd behind a mistake or a skill move that hasn't gone your way. It's quite interesting that kind of
and you're on the touchline
environment.
as well.
Yeah.
Right in front of them.
Is that more difficult because you're so close to the touchline?
I don't mind. I think it kind of motivates you sometimes because you're, as you say about information and stuff, if you need to get information onto you, you're close to the touchline, so it's better, and you can hear kind of encouragement from the subs who are there and all the staff and stuff like that. So I don't mind being close to the touchline, but obviously if things aren't going well, you probly want to be as far away as possible.
Have you got the neck to try a little Neymar touch in front of right
In front of the fans?
No.
Did some of the fans though be on top of you? So is
some
it
of the
Richmond?
grounds,
Richmond is
Richmond's,
very,
yeah,
Richmond's very on top.
very,
tight.
very tight.
Like grounds like that though, where the
Yeah,
fans, I think, even like
yeah.
Craven Cottage when you're watching the Premier League, I think that's sick.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just so tight. Like,
Do you find, or in games, Like you're here, obviously you hear it, but are you listening to the crowd?
Not really, no. You're zone. It's too hard. You're concentrating on the game. Like you don't really hear too much. Obviously you can hear if there's groans or things like that. But in terms of if you're getting shouted at from an individual or something like that, you don't really hear things like that because you're zoned in on what's happening on the pitch. Yeah.
Mad how that is, isn't it? Because like it's so loud.
It is.
Like, it's almost like none of it actually matters to the player on the pitch because like that you're so.
It's mad. We only talk about even in the
Come on.
Aviva, like 45,000 people, and the lads were saying you could still actually hear every shout from players. And
Yeah.
It's just like you're so concentrated on what's on the pitch that you think 45,000 people shouting around, you wouldn't be able to hear a thing in the stadium, but you can on the pitch. Like you always seem to just be able to hear whatever's coming from the touchline or other players shouting at you. You're focused on the pitch rather than the noise from off.
It's mad how that works, like
Because it doesn't actually make sense.
It shouldn't make sense,
There's
but it
so
does
much
make
noise
sense,
coming
yeah.
like that way.
Yeah.
But when you're in the middle of it, you can't hear, like.
It is. It's very interesting. The influence of fans, obviously individuals screaming stuff. I think from the outside you almost think, oh, they have to hear that, but you probably don't. But the collective of if you're on top and you, for example, one of people are like smashing banners and the noise, the drums. That surely like triggers something.
You can hear things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as I said, groans or whatever. It might be a drum or big chants. Obviously, you hear things like that. But in terms of individual shouts, you don't really pay attention to it. I suppose it's more just when there's a ruckus of noise, like a proper, as you say, a drum or something like that. Then you can hear it, and it might give you a boost or whatever.
At the end of that year, then. Obviously, Huddersfield was the one that materialised. Was there a couple of options?
Yeah, I was close to going to Hull. There was kind of it was Hull and Huddersfield was what I kind of narrowed it down to. And I remember I had a Zoom call at the time because of COVID. Obviously, I couldn't travel over, so I had a Zoom call with Lee Bromby and stuff at Huddersfield, the director of football. And I just remember kind of coming off it with my agent, and obviously they left the call, and I was on with my agent, and I just kind of thought like he was kind of explaining the project and what I would be, and I just thought that was the right one. But yeah, there was Hull was quite close at the time as well. But yeah, I chose Huddersfield. Yeah.
What was it about the project? Was it where you saw yourself in it, or?
Yeah, kind of. And it was just, it's not a 23s at Huddersfild. They have a B team, so they have the first team and then they have a B team. So it's kind of like you can be 17, 18. What I think I was 21. So there's lots of different ages, but all kind of in that B team. So it's kind of away from that 23s because you don't want to get stuck in 23s. And I kind of like that model. I remember my agent kind of saying to me, it's a good model that they have. And
I think Brentford do something
Yeah,
similar.
Brentford's the B team. Yeah.
There was lots of players I think at the time going from the B team into the first team as well.
Did they play, or did you, then play in a league with that team, or how did that work?
Yeah, what do you compete
There's not
in?
actually a league, no. So it's kind of just different games. There's cups now. There's like a Premier League cup and stuff.
Yeah.
Things like that. But we weren't actually in the league. But we'd have a game every week still.
Just
friendlies
be,
and
they'd
stuff
probably
like
a lot of
that,
senior
yeah.
teams then would have been, or would it
There
been
was
a
some,
mix?
like, so I remember we'd be playing teams who were in pre-season and stuff. And sorry. Yeah, we'd be playing teams like, first teams that we remember we played Morecambe and stuff. I remember. So yeah, we'd be playing League 2 teams and stuff like that. Kind of lads who weren't playing, maybe reserves, or lads who hadn't came off the bench. We'd be playing League 1 kind of reserves and stuff. So there was still decent games, but obviously not competitive as.
Yeah, what's that like? Because at 2021, not playing competitive games.
Yeah, no,
that
it's
must be
difficult.
weird.
That's why everyone talks about it, isn't it? When you're going across, you need to make the right move, because the worst thing that can happen is you then get stuck in 23s football, and you see lots of people kind of maybe going over and signing for a Premier League club, and you think maybe it would have been better signing for a League 1 or a Championship team and going straight into a first team. But at the end of the day, sometimes you have to make decisions where you want to go to a big club. If that makes sense for you, you have to obviously go. But it can be difficult, and the last thing you want is to get stuck in a kind of 23s environment when you go over.
But when that interest starts to develop, how does that feel? Do you feel the ego start to go a little bit, or
no, but
does it happen naturally?
Yeah, it obviously helps your confidence. You feel like, you get interest for a reason. You're obviously playing well, and it helps you confidence wise. But I've always been kind of a player who lacks in confidence. Just I always would be thinking from interest, like, am I good enough to go there? I would always have that doubt in my mind. So I remember thinking at the time, was I ready to go? And I was second guessed. I was very close to actually kind of staying in the League of Ireland for another year. I don't know. I was just hesitant to go over, but I just thought, I'll make the leap, I suppose.
And then when it comes to discussions, obviously that's a weird time for it during COVID. Zoom call to people. It's not probably not your orthodox way of getting to know a club, getting to know visiting the grounds and all that type of stuff. Did you even get to go over to to Huddersfield and have a look around and meet people before signing the deal?
No, I think I signed the deal. I went over to sign the deal.
It's
like,
mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
Very
of COVID.
different, isn't it?
Mad, yeah.
Such a mad time, wasn't it? Like, just a crazy time. But yeah, I think first time I went over, I was signing. Like,
How did you find adjusting to that then? Because imagine when you went over, it probably wasn't as easy as it would be now to, let's say, fly back or across, or for family to come across and see. How did you find that kind of
it was
transition?
difficult. I think
That was tough.
Yeah, it was tough, to be fair. Yeah, I think I went over and I signed the contract because obviously league voting finishes in November, so I had me a couple of weeks kind of hemming and hawing about what I wanted to do, and then I went over, signed for Huddersfield, and then they let me come back for Christmas in December. So I was over there for a week, and then they let me go back because I couldn't have played or done that until January anyways. So they let me come back for Christmas, and then I went back over on the 1st of January to kind of knuckle down. But yeah, it was difficult. I didn't get to obviously come home, and no one got to come over with me for I think the first at least 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
and that was obviously I got my injuries and stuff straight away, so it was kind of going through a difficult transition, and yeah, to not have people kind of be able to come over and help you was hard at times. Yeah.
The first injury was a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
What happened?
All of them have been hamstrings. to be fair.
What happened and when? How quickly?
So I done my first week, and I remember I was flying. I was in a proper good place. I was doing individual sessions and stuff on the side with Danny Schofield, who was a coach at the time. And I remember lads kind of coming up to me, and other coaches coming up to me and saying, like, he's talking really highly about you, and he's encouraging the manager to play it and stuff.
In the first team?
Yeah.
Really?
So the manager was going to start me in the FA Cup. I think it was Plymouth we were playing or something like that. It was one of the early rounds in the FA Cup, and day before training we were doing the shape, and I was in the starting team and stuff, and someone put a ball down. I think we were doing like a crossing and finishing phase, and ball went down the line. I went across the ball, and I remember with my right foot, and I just felt something up the top of my hamstring, and I hadn't really done a proper hamstring injury before, like, and I remember just thinking, what was that? So I tried to play on for a couple of minutes, and then the manager, Carlos Corberan, I remember him shouting at me. He was like, "Grant, why you touch your leg?" And all. And I was like, right. He was like, step out. So I ended up stepping out and didn't play it again the next day. Got a scan and stuff, and it was actually a really bad injury. Like, when you do your hamstring, you have a grade 1, 2, 3 and 4, and mine was a grade 3C, so the one kind of before it comes off the bone. Wow. So it was a big injury. Like, and I remember thinking, when I walked in off the pitch that day, I remember thinking, this could be a couple of weeks. Like, and I ended up missing 3.5 months or 4 months.
So you didn't feel it initially that bad? It kind of just felt like a tweak,
it's kind of just a little pinch, little tweak. Like, that's what I was being like. That it's obviously not a great feeling, but it doesn't. At the time, I remember thinking that couldn't be that bad. It's not that sore. Like, but it was just a little sharp pain, and then so it was a bit of a shock there when I got the scan, and physio was kind of saying to you, like, that's a 3C. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 months. Jesus. I remember being shocked there.
What then? What's your reaction?
Now, you're obviously deflated, but I remember the first injury is not the killer, I suppose, because you're thinking, right, I've signed a 2.5 year contract here. Like, and obviously when I spoke about the project, what I'm saying about the project, and it was kind of, listen, if we can have you in the first team anytime within the first 6 to 12 months, we'll be happy with that. So I remember thinking, right, well, I probably shouldn't. It's only a little blip. Like, I'm here for 2.5 years, and obviously they weren't going to try and rush me into the first team anyways. Coming from Ireland to England, they knew it would be a bit of a step. So the first injury wasn't the killer. I wasn't too deflated, I suppose, after the first one. I remember kind of being positive about it, and just thinking it is what it is, and gives me a chance to kind of get in the gym and try and strengthen things and stuff like that, and get used to that full time.
You get settled.
Yeah, when I went from Bohs to England, Bohs weren't even full time, so I hadn't been in the gym a lot, and so I kind of was looking at the positives from that side of it. Like, at least I'll get 3-4 months flat out in the gym and building up the strength of my legs and stuff like that. So yeah, no, the first injury didn't really get me down too much, to be fair.
And then when you get back, did you feel 100%?
I felt decent, yeah. I think most people will know, when most people who've had a hamstring injury, when you come back, you don't feel 100%. You're a bit kind of, it's always in the back of your mind, like, oh. But I didn't feel too bad, and played a B team game. But I actually remember I started the game well, like, started kind of flying, and then knocked the ball past the fullback. And can I curse?
Yeah.
Lazy just tripped me. He obviously didn't want to chase me. He didn't want to run that way, so he just clipped me. But I'm running full pelt, so like full speed, and the lazy just clipped me ankles. So I'm like running full pelt, and I'm nearly in an RDL. So like my head is down. And the physio, I remember telling me after, like, it's the most vulnerable position you can be in as a footballer for your hamstrings. Like, full speed running. It took me about 20 yards to actually fall. You know, one of them stumbling for ages and felt something on the other hamstring. So I don't know, would it have been even better if it was the one I actually done or the other one, but it ended up being the left hamstring this time and felt a pinch, and that was kind of not as bad now. That was a grade 2C, I think, so that was about maybe 8 to 10 weeks that I missed after that one, and that was kind of the start of it. I remember I never got a run after that. It was always just little niggles in my hamstring, but the second injury was kind of the one that I was down after that, and I remember thinking, like, when is this going to change? When's my look going to change here or whatever?
So that's like, it's tough enough. You're after getting your dream move per se to the UK. Tough enough to deal with the one injury, and then the second one comes along. Like we hear about it all the time, getting an injury and you're out, but like that's 8 weeks. You're in the gym or whatever. You're around, I'd say, the club, the lads, whatever. But like, what are you doing when you're home alone? Like, what are you thinking? What's going on?
It can be bored, especially moving over there. Like now I'm at home. Obviously, if I'm at home, I go with it. I ring me mate. Do you want to go and play a game of pool? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Go for a coffee.
Were you living alone? Or were you?
I was living alone at the start. Right. Yeah. To be fair, two of the lads when I first moved over kind of said to me, like, do you want us to ask our landlord about the apartments in the block? And I was like, yeah, grand. So I ended up moving into an apartment, and just coincidentally was next door to the two lads' apartment. So I was in and out of their apartment a lot. Okay. So I had that at least, but yeah, no, it was kind of settling in over there and not knowing the place and the people and stuff. I wasn't doing a whole lot is the answer to that question. Like, I was kind of sitting and thinking, you know, when is this going to change or whatever, and I was probably bored a lot of the time because there's only so much rehab you can do in the gym. You can't only so many weights you can lift, and then you've got to kind of go home and recover. So it was boring at times. Yeah,
that's painful.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hard. Yeah, it was difficult.
And you're saying after that you had like little niggles and stuff.
After the second hamstring injury, then I actually got COVID. But that was at the time when it was kind of proper rampant, and it was a big deal. And me and the fella that I'm talking about next door, Chapo, an Australian goalkeeper, he got it as well. So I missed a week, and then when you go back, that was at the time where there was like a road to recovery thing with COVID, like you have to go return to play thing. Yeah, that whole procedure. And I remember the first day back after the week, I was dying, like I was in a bad way, and I'd done a lap of the pitch, and I was on my hunkers after it, like. Oh wow! Like breathing heavy, and I thought, what is going on here? So the physio was like, no, that's not normal. Like, I know you have a flu or whatever it was, but so we need to go and do a few tests. So I'd done a few tests, went to the hospital, ECG, all of them kind of things, and it came back that there was a problem with my heart after COVID. So I had long COVID or whatever it was at the time. So there was inflammation around my heart, and it took me a while to get back from that. So I think I ended up missing nearly 3 months with that as well. That was after the.
So could you not train at all during that?
I couldn't really do anything. No.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the 2 hamstring injuries and then the long COVID thing that I had. So
essentially
the first year was basically a write-off. Like, it was.
How much would you have trained, or how much of that 12 months would you have been active on the pitch? I'd like say 2 or 3, like, roughly?
Even 2, yeah.
Wow.
So the first year was like a disaster. It was a write-off basically. Like, and then obviously you start to think, right, well, I've only got
a year and a half.
As I said, after the first injury, you're thinking I still got 2.5 years, but then you're thinking, right, I've only got just over a year. Like, and a year in football isn't really a long time. Yeah. So then you start to kind of think, when, you know, this needs to happen, and it needs to happen fairly quickly, and then you're putting pressure on yourself to get back, and my body was just probably not ready, and I was coming back when I wasn't fully ready. And as I said, I just kept getting different niggles and knocks and stuff in my hamstring. So
how often are like physios and stuff with you? Like, you're saying that you feel yourself rushing back. Do they not get onto you a bit? Like, make sure, is there not like consistent tests or whatever it is?
Yeah, no, there is, to be fair. When I say rushing, probably mentally I wasn't ready. Physically I probably should have been ready, and the physios at Huddersfield were very good, to be fair. They had all the equipment and all the tests, and my strength was at a certain point. Like, even when I was doing, have you ever heard of a Nordic exercise? There's a Nord board in Huddersfield. It's like top piece of machinery or whatever. And my score on that, so my hamstring strength score, was one of the highest in the club, like, when I was coming back. But I still ended up doing the injury again. So it was frustrating. Like, it wasn't a physio's fault or anything like that. All the tests were done, all the boxes were checked, and I was ready to go back, but just kind of kept breaking down for whatever reason.
It's mad that the body can do, even if you are prepped. Do you think a mental side of that?
Definitely, I'd say it's definitely an effect. Yeah, 100%.
Good Lord. And then you get into the final year. You went out on loan Didn't you?
So I went to Harrogate then, yeah. I remember just thinking after that then. So trained with the B team and stuff, and first team were doing alright at the time actually. That was the year like Huddersfield got to the playoff final and stuff, so they were flying, and I remember just thinking I need to go on loan, like I need to get out and just get back playing football. So I went to Harrogate, League 2. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it at Harrogate. It was a good dressing room, and manager and coach and stuff were decent. All the people there were proper down to earth people, and proper enjoyed that time, and actually ended up doing alright. I think I played maybe 28, 29 games and got a couple of man of the matches here and there. So it was a kind of a decent loan spell, to be fair.
Standard good there?
Yeah, I'd say League 2
across the league.
Yeah, it was decent there. There's some of the teams like Leighton Orient won it the year I was in it. They were decent, like they were very good. But obviously some places you go, it's kick it and get up the pitch.
Yeah,
but there are some teams now in League 2 you see the likes of Stockport and stuff who get down and play Wrexham and stuff. So some decent teams in League 2, like big clubs. Like you're going to Stockport, there's I think 11,000 or something there. So
Steady.
Yeah, some decent games to be playing in. Like
at that point, then after that loan, were you thinking there were still options over there, or were you more content with moving back here?
It was a bit of both. There was I had a couple of options. So I went on loan to Harrogate in, would it have been September? So kind of started the season like, and started off quite well. September, November, December, and then in January, I had a couple of clubs who wanted to take me on a permanent.
Okay.
And Huddersfield. So I said to my agent, like, speak to Huddersfield, see what they say. Obviously, if they come back and say no, like we're keeping Danny, then that's a good sign. If they say, well, yeah, they kind of said, yeah, give us a sell on, and if he wants to go and play football, we'll let him do that. Like, and I was gonna do it, and I remember just because I was playing at Harrogate, I remember thinking I was playing every week, like, and I was doing okay, and I remember thinking, do I want to kind of uproot myself in the middle of January and start moving houses and stuff, or do I just kind of keep my head down now? Play till the end of the season at Harrogate and see what's happening in June for the next season. So I never ended up going. I could have went to Motherwell in Scotland, and then there was Forest Green as well, they were bottom of League 1. So I kind of remember thinking, do I want to go there? And it's kind of cutthroat. You don't know whether you're going to play, and lads fighting for their lives. Is that going to suit me as well? So I ended up just saying I'll stick it out at Harrogate and keep playing every week, and then see where we are come June. And that was what I done. Yeah.
Okay. And then come June, was it the option came to come back then? Yeah,
so then I was thinking, like, do I stay over there? I always kind of said to myself going over that if it came to a point of playing in League 2 or playing in the League of Ireland, I would just play in the League of Ireland, you know what I mean? Because I think it would mean more to me, obviously, playing for a club like Bohs than it would maybe a League 2 club, and I'd be able to live at home. I knew I'd be happier, and things like that. And just Forest Green was still there, but I just remember thinking, like, Forest Green was in the middle of nowhere, and I remember I was on to my uncle, and my uncle was like do whatever you think is right, but are you gonna end up miserable living in the middle of nowhere and having to uproot yourself, leaving the people you know at Huddersfield and things like that? I remember ringing Trevor Clark because he was at Bristol, and I was kind of asking him what Bristol was like to live in. But yeah, no, I just said I think I'll be happier at home rather than going and playing in League 2. So just made the decision to come back to Bohs, yeah.
Do you have any regrets from your time in the UK?
No, 100% no.
Nothing?
Definitely not. Just because from the football side, I know myself, it was other than the loan at Harrogate, it was a disaster. It didn't go how you'd imagine it in your head, going over and getting a dream move, and it didn't work out for me. But in terms of life, it's made me grow so much as a person. And like when I was moving over, I couldn't cook, couldn't use a washing machine, I couldn't do anything. Like I was useless, proper mammy's boy. Like, so then when I went over, it made me grow up. Like it made me mature, and so I don't regret any side of that. And obviously met some great people as well, like people that I'm going on holidays with in June and stuff, like people from Huddersfield. So friends that I've made for life, and the staff and all that Huddersfield were brilliant. Like, I loved all that side of it. All the lads were class. It was just the football, obviously the most important side of it, the football side, but didn't go to plan. But in terms of the 2 years that I had there, like, I enjoyed it. I properly enjoyed my life there. I actually grew to kind of enjoy being away from home for a while, but then just thought, I wouldn't mind going back home now.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how important is your kind of social circle and like your family and things like that? Because everything you're saying, kind of even the decision to come back to Ireland instead of playing in League 2, obviously saying that playing for maybe a more local club like a Bohs who you've been with previously would mean more, but also I kind of get the sense that being home is probably an important factor there, being around people who care about you.
Yeah, it's all the simple things, like just now on a Wednesday, if we're off on a Wednesday, I'll go down and see me granny and granddad, just sit there, have a chat with them, cup of tea, whatever it is. Simple things like that. As I said, ringing a couple of your mates, going for a game of pool, or all of the simple things that you miss. Obviously, I made mates over there, but it's just different, I suppose, the people that I grew up with, and having my family, being able to be in the house with my brother and stuff who I'm so close to, like all of them kind of things that you miss. But your social circle is really important. To be fair, my social circle in Huddersfield was decent. Like I made good friends that I would go out and do things with as well. So, you know, it's massively important. So, like, obviously you're a footballer first and foremost, but you're only there from, say, 9 to 2, 9 to 3 or whatever. And as Morgan was saying earlier, like, what do you do after that? You don't want to be just sitting in your house watching TV all day or playing PlayStation all day. You've got to have the social aspect of it.
Does
it
it help you
happy.
a little bit more now then, where if you're going through a rough patch now, maybe not being in the team, whatever, low on confidence, that you're here rather than going through the injuries away during COVID when people can't come see and whatnot? Is that a big thing for you now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just the comfort of it, I suppose. Knowing that I have my family there. I'm not I'm not the type of person to kind of speak to a lot of people. I'm just kind of hold myself back from when I'm down in the dumps or whatever like that. But just knowing that if I do want to speak to my mum, my dad or whatever, they're close. They don't have to fly to go and actually give me mum a hug or whatever. Little things like that. So it does help you when you're going through difficult patches to be at home, I suppose.
It shows the sacrifices. Like for some people, different personalities and whatnot would a League 2 opportunity and they'd be like, I've got to go for it. Like I've no choice. Well, you've got to weigh up what suits you. Like in fairness, you've made a decision that you seem to be happy with, which is probably the most important thing.
It's the thing that people sacrifice when they go. I know if your time in England is a little bit different because obviously there was COVID, there wasn't a lot of travel around, but some people could go even further than England. Then they neglect the little things that it could be. You can go see your grandparents on a Wednesday for you, whereas that's not really an option for the people who decide to sometimes make that further jump. So it is, like you said, it's a massive.
It's the simple things, isn't it? Life is some of the simple things that are the most important things. So it's things like that you value now more, being home or whatever.
Yeah, football's life is not easy, is it? Like,
every time we talk to a footballer, you're kind of like,
we give a terrible representation of football. When we were talking to Wellesley the other day, we may as well have told him to retire. He's had a great career so far, and we're just like, oh, that's shite. That's terrible way of living. But again, it's the sacrifices for. Listen, there's things we do that some people would be like, oh my, I would never do that in a million years. But if it's something you want to do, you're passionate about it. Jesus Christ, we are smashing the phone. That was my phone. Was it your phone that dropped earlier?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, we're having a bleeding melt here. But yeah, all those sacrifices. But again, you've got to be content with your own decisions, don't you? You mentioned earlier, which I find interesting, because I would have painted you as someone different in terms of being low on confidence, like day in day out. Are you self-conscious in your day-to-day life? Do you think?
I don't know if I'm self-conscious. I'm definitely a confidence player. Like when I'm high in confidence, that's when I'm playing my best football, which is obviously common sense. But me more than most, I would say. I do kind of suffer with confidence sometimes. It's just life, I suppose, of a winger, especially, or an attacker. You know, you're gonna play better if you're filled with confidence or whatever. But I probably am a little bit low on confidence at times. And I remember when I was younger, when my coaches at Cherry Orchard kind of saying to me and my parents, like, confidence is going to be a big thing for him, and he needs to believe in himself and things like that, and he'll have a good career.
Yeah, it's confidence is one of those things. Like, it's hard. You can't coach it. It's not teachable. You can do things, obviously, if you look at what we do, if you're doing repetition of stuff and you're doing rinse and repeat every day, you're going to be a little bit more confident in some aspects. But there's just so many factors when it comes to game day and fans and family and this and that, and I have a little niggle and to keep your I don't know, again, that balance of being self-aware, confident when you playing to a system that might suit you, might not suit you, and just you're trying to juggle all of that. And if it's something that you don't have, like some people, just like we said a couple of weeks ago, just have this aura, like all the time. They seem, not always the case, but they seem to be always be carrying themselves like at 100% quality and 100% confidence.
It's interesting because even having seen you play, and being honest, I would have thought the opposite. Would have thought you're like even
You're
watching
just always at it, yeah.
yeah, even in terms of watch you play, even when you get the ball, the way you dribble, you kind of look like I'm the man.
Confident guy. Like,
Even the way, like, and you can see that in players sometimes, like, where the way they carry the ball or pass the ball, whatever the action is, they maybe do it not in a confident way, but it's interesting because watching you play, you look the opposite. So it's interesting to hear you say that, you know.
I think it's with me off the pitch, it's really recognisable when I'm low in confidence. You know what I mean? Like, lads will look at me in training or just walking around the place and be like, "What's up with you?" Like, you look down, do you know what I mean? And I just can't really hide it. Like, it's just a difficult one for me to hide. But yeah, on the pitch.
Do you put a face on then sometimes when you play? Do you kind of, like, you're going to Daily Mount this weekend, let's say you were really low and confident going into the team, would you then, like, consciously put on a face that, right, I come out in front of the crowd, I'm Danny Grant, like, or is it
not really?
Do you find that
maybe you kind of have to convince yourself that you're confident or whatever at times, but you probably subconsciously know that you're still struggling in confidence. But as you say, you can kind of try and force yourself to feel a certain way or put on the front, but it's probably difficult at times.
It ebbs and flows so much, doesn't it? Confidence, even in games, you go 1v1, you lose your first 1v1, well, your confidence is down, like, naturally, trying to get that back up. Like, when you're low in confidence, when we say that, it's obviously easy to say it in football terms, but does it encapsulate, like, your whole life?
No, it'll be mostly football when I'm in and around it and stuff like that. It'll be mostly football. I would say that confidence would be my biggest issue. Outside of that, it's kind of fine. I wouldn't be like a quiet personality or anything like that, or self-reserved. I'd be quite comfortable in most environments and stuff. Yeah, it's just in the football sometimes when it's not going well, which is normal, like you're low in confidence. But no, I wouldn't really be in my outside life, no. Yeah,
like we were at the cup final, and the first 20 minutes, you were killing them. Killing them, Pat. You had a very good start. I noticed, actually, I was on your Instagram the other day and I seen one of the photos you put up was Sam Curtis falling. And, like, early in the game, I was like, he's such a Charlie. Of course, it was like, I think it was like an end of year thing, such a typical Danny Grant post. You're just swiping through it. And it's like one of the pictures is that. But that just came into my head there because the first 20 minutes of that game, how did you feel going into the cup final, though?
Yeah, no, I was looking forward to it. As soon as I found out I was playing, I was buzzing because it was kind of between me and Ali Coote at the time. We're playing on the left, and Ali kind of finished the season fairly strongly. But yeah, no, as soon as I found out I was playing, I was looking forward to it. I've never experienced anything like it, obviously, so it was kind of an unknown to me, and there's obviously a little bit of fear of what it's going to be like, how you're going to feel. But yeah, no, I was buzzing, and I thought we were good in the first half. I thought we were genuinely decent, and whatever. I remember when the goal went in, I thought we were going to win, like, and whatever happened, there was just a shift, and the goals we conceded were obviously poor. I think, like, we played probably better football, and then when Pat's got the first goal and then the second goal, the whole game just shifts. Think that's football. Goals change games and whatever. But yeah, the goals we conceded were just poor. But the first half, I thought we were better than Pat's, and if we'd have came out like that in the second half, I think we'd have probably won the game. But
they scored just before the second half, didn't they?
Yeah.
The equaliser.
Well, was it maybe?
It was an OG, was it?
30th minute, was it?
Yeah, it was for the 30th minute. It was the
early?
free kick.
And then the second one was start of the second half.
That was the
own goal. Yeah, that was the killer one.
Yeah, tough. Yeah, because from there it was just so hard to get back into the game.
Hard to get back into it. Yeah, that was us last year. To be honest, the whole of last year we just conceded poor goals. There'd be games when we played all right, and some of the goals we conceded were just poor. And obviously that was the story of the final as well. It wasn't like Pats played us off the pitch by any means, like they didn't, but they just. We kind of gifted them a couple of goals, set pieces. Was it 3 set pieces they scored?
Two
set pieces.
Lonergan's wasn't a set piece. No, it was just a counter, wasn't it? At the end, that was just kind of nailed the coffin.
Yeah, that was
I remember the cross for the first one. Was it Doyle or peeled off or whatever? I think it was an own goal in the end, wasn't it?
The second one was the own goal.
The second one was the own goal.
The first one was a free kick, wasn't it?
I think the first one wasn't a clean header as well, was it? Was it maybe a little bit?
Yeah. There was that Doyle who scored that. Yeah.
Do you look back on that day then? Because although being on the winning or the losing side of it, it was still a historic day for the league in the sense of filling out the national stadium. What's the kind of legacy, do you think, of that game for you, maybe, and I suppose football going forward in Ireland?
It was obviously a brilliant day, but it's hard, isn't it? When you're a Bohs player, you're obviously going to have kind of negative memories of it. That's football. You win, you're happy. If you lose, you're not. It's a disaster. So the underlying is that it's negative feelings that any Bohs player will have around it, but you have to kind of get over that. And I'm sure in a couple of years' time I'll look back at it and think it was was a privilege to be a part of that. To play in front of 45,000 people like is crazy. You wouldn't, like, probably most players in League One and League Two in England wouldn't have ever played in front of 45,000.
Very true. In your home country as well.
Yeah, so it was crazy. Like, I'm sure I look back at it at one stage in my life and think that was a great honour. But yeah, no, it was a brilliant day for Irish football and hopefully a sign of where things are going in this country.
Yeah, like the progress over the last while, you're probably a good case study for it because you were in the 17s, 19s. You also got to see the Leinster Senior League and what that's all about. And now, obviously, the developments you were saying before you even left, you weren't even full time, and then you come back and it's a completely different setup. Like, and you're still very young. Like, in terms of football years, it's crazy. Like how quickly it can change. I presume you feel it, but does it feel like in the league there's a positive trajectory coming?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. The only thing holding it back is probably the stadiums and the capacity of stadiums and things like that. Obviously, the sport needs backing in the country. It needs more backing, like the GAA gets and things like that. But as long as the football gets that in this country, I'm sure it will, in a couple of years' time, be in a really good place. Because, as you say, the trajectory of it is really good, and you can see that by the attendances every week, and even especially in Tala last week, 10,000. Like, what you wouldn't have got that a couple of years ago. You'd be lucky to get 2,000 at Bohs over. So, the trajectory is obviously good, but we need to be back. The sport needs to be backed in order for it to keep going that way, or otherwise it will just kind of hit a point where it can't go further. Yeah, it will just plateau. And so it's, hopefully the people who are pushing for them things to happen, keep doing that, the work that they're putting in. I suppose all the people in clubs who are pushing for new stadiums and things like that, and hopefully they get them. I think there's a couple of obviously Dalymount is hopefully going to be done in the next couple of years, and I think there's a couple of other ones that need to be renovated as well. So hopefully they get the backing and the league can keep going in that direction.
Yeah, I was watching your game the other day against Galway. First of all, I was stunned it was on TV because they showed the Rovers in Tala, and then I seen something on Instagram. I was like, two games to Monday, be shown back to back. I was like, that's very rare. I was stunned it was on because I was looking for something to do, and it was perfect. And the coverage of the game, I've talked to a good few people about it, was excellent.
Was it? Yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. Like, small stuff, like just the standards of the camera quality, the quantity of cameras around, like the different angles, the commentary, everything about it was really well done.
The stadium is so important in the...
Very true.
Do you remember Flores' goal against Rovers here? Like, if that's in Oriel, let's say, it's just not the same goal. I think Galway's a nice ground. In fairness,
it is. MDC's nice. Yeah.
It matters so much, this stadium, for how it looks on camera, because it's just like it makes a goal look so much better if a goal goes in,
And it's difficult because fans kind of might then kind of look at it and think, why is my club never on TV? And that's probably the reason, and it's not a fan's fault. That's why the clubs need backing from the government to get proper stadiums put in and stuff like that, because you can understand why maybe an RTE or a Virgin don't want to put a certain ground on if it doesn't look professional or whatever. So that's why every club in the country needs backing and needs to have a decent stadium.
It's a very good point, because if you ever see when they actually go to the grounds, I don't know if obviously fans probably around the ground knows it, the amount that goes into a production like that is absolutely incredible. That some clubs, I can guarantee, don't have the facilities to facilitate.
They'd have to bring RTE would have to bring, let's say, or Virgin would have to bring the rigs and all.
100%, to even install that in some, it's just not possible. It's just not possible at the moment, and it's a shame. But like I said, it's getting there. One thing before we wrap up, I forgot to mention it. I don't know if many people know this about you, but you went and finished a full college degree.
Yeah, well.
Barely.
Didn't really go, but
he was in half my class. Yeah.
So he seen me about three times.
Three times a year, maybe. That's always the text.
When did you finish then? Did you finish 2019? No.
So I finished that in Huddersfield.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the
that was one of the actual positives, I suppose, of COVID, was the fact that I was able to go. And so I was thinking at the time, can I go now? Like, can I?
Yeah.
Or do I have to stay, obviously, to finish the degree, or am I going to just jack that in, whatever? So COVID kind of helped me in that regard. It was remote, so I could do it. My first 6 months from January to June in Huddersfield, I was actually still doing the remote degree in Maynooth. Yeah.
And then Lukey was in some of the class as well. Luke McNally.
Yeah.
So two of the boys about to go away. Huh?
Yeah.
Love that. Finishing the degree.
Hope you have the degree framed and all, do you? Up on the wall?
No, I have it in my house somewhere. I think. I hope. But yeah, I done 2 years on a scholarship playing for Maynooth, and then my last year, Bohs helped me out with the fees because they kind of said to me like, you can't be training in the morning with Maynooth and then with us in the evenings. Like, it was too much, so they helped me with the third year then with my fees. So yeah, thankfully got it done and have a business degree.
Yeah, it's great to have that. Not many people in general have a degree, let alone trying to balance it with a career in football. It's very difficult to do, especially when you play Fridays, because essentially it's a working week from Monday to Friday. You're meant to be in college or whatever. Obviously you got to finish the last bit we had was in was during COVID, so it was all remote, which is handy for you. But how did you find that balance? The balancing act between the two at the start?
Yeah, it's obviously at the start it's a bit difficult, but then especially then when I kind of started doing well with Bohs, I was really kind of football focused, and I knew like, right, this is what my focus is on. So kind of put the degree kind of in the back pocket for a little while, and just kind of wanted to get through it rather than be there like every day and things like that. Football was my main focus. So, but getting the balance to obviously, I knew once I started it, I wanted to finish it. Like I wanted to finish the 3 years. So, you know, it's a brilliant thing to have there. Even some of the lads at Bohs who went to England earlier or whatever, younger, they don't have any, didn't even finish school. So it's difficult for after football. Obviously, you have to start thinking about things like that and what you're going to do after, because you can only play for so long. So at least I'll have that kind of in the pocket for after I finish.
Absolutely. Yeah, fair play to you.
Deadly.
What does before we wrap up, what's the future hold for you? What do you think? What's your aspirations? What's a good career to Danny Grant?
I don't know. I'm kind of open to. I think about it like to myself. What do I now look at as a good career? And I'm kind of open to whatever happens. I suppose at peace with, if I play in the League of Ireland for the rest of my career, I'm more than happy with that, because you know some people never get the opportunity to do that. If I ever want to, you know, try and give it another go in England, I'd like to think I'm young enough. Or anywhere else abroad for that matter. So I'm kind of at peace with whatever happens. I don't mind if I play in Ireland for the rest of my career, or if I go and move somewhere else. I'm kind of open to it all. And the short term, I just need to keep my head down and get myself back in the team, keep working hard, and hopefully I'll get back to my best soon enough.
Well, cool. Beautiful. Danny, thanks for your time.
Thanks for coming in.
That was great.
Lads.